The very latest news regarding is CM Punk coming back to WWE, an update on if talks have taken place, is there heat with significant names in WWE like Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns? What has creative in WWE been told? What's the internal reaction within WWE as well? What's the internal reaction in All Elite Wrestling? And has WWE dropped the biggest hint yet that CM Punk is set to come back to the company with a line used by Corey Graves last night on SmackDown? Details on that, plus The Undertaker is seemingly confirmed for NXT on Tuesday, already joining massive names such as John Cena, Cody Rhodes, Paul Heyman, and Asuka for the episode that goes head-to-head with AEW Dynamite. Roman Reigns and Triple H are scheduled for next week's season premiere of SmackDown on Fox. Jade Cargill is reportedly set for Fastlane tonight. MGF says he dropped the ball on AEW Dynamite this week. The Judgment Day and the Bloodline join forces on SmackDown. Danhausen is set to return to AEW television soon, and Jim Ross is in negotiations over a brand new AEW contract. Hey guys, welcome back to Wrestling News 365. Hope everyone is doing very well. As always, plenty of news stories to get into in the world of professional wrestling. And the biggest story right now is CM Punk possibly returning to WWE after an absence of nearly a decade. Now, CM Punk is the talk of the town once again, as virtually every outlet has reported what they have heard regarding he and WWE. We spoke yesterday about the report from Dave Meltzer of the Wrestling Observer newsletter, Nick Hausman of House of Wrestling, and Fightful Select Sean Ross has provided a big update on a lot of these rumors surrounding the former AEW World Champion and a return to WWE. Now, according to Fightful Select, WWE feels confident that CM Punk would come to WWE. CM Punk's termination from AEW led to questions about his future, including the possibility of a return to WWE. Now, Fightful have learned of what some within WWE think. WWE higher-ups reportedly fully believe that CM Punk would sign with the company if they had interest. In the past year, Fightful have heard that Punk has been open to the idea, but WWE sources think the ball is firmly in their court. As of 2 weeks ago, nobody within WWE had indicated that CM Punk and the company had been having talks. In late September, Fightful were told that it appeared that there were feelers sent out from Punk to WWE to see if there was any interest there. One WWE employee, as of last month, advised someone close to Punk that talking to Vince McMahon directly would have been the best course of action to secure a return to the company. Now, in the past, Fightful were told that Vince McMahon was adamant to Fox that he wasn't interested in bringing Punk back, though Fox had been pushing for it prior to him signing with All Elite Wrestling. Now, multiple sources that Fightful spoke to near CM Punk believe that he would, in fact, sign with WWE. However, what is the internal reaction in WWE, and what is his relationships like with several key players within the company? Well, according to Sean Ross Sapp, there is still a ton of heat on CM Punk in WWE, with plenty of it stemming from his last run almost 10 years ago. Sources familiar with the situation believe that many of them would be consulted in the event Punk would return to the company, as to prevent anything similar to what happened multiple times in All Elite Wrestling. One top star said that Punk knows, quote, he wouldn't be able to pull any of his shit here. There's nobody here he could jump without getting his ass handed to him, end quote. When Fightful brought up that WWE would likely want to talk to top talent about Punk coming in, that same person said the talk really needed to be with Punk. Another top talent said they believed Triple H wouldn't risk the negativity that Punk would bring, but then did recall that it wouldn't be the first time that he's brought someone in with baggage since being in control. The general feeling Fightful got was that Punk would need to make good with a number of influential talent in general. Within AEW, one top star said that before Brawl Out happened, Punk would still verbalize how much he didn't like WWE, Triple H and Vince McMahon, and would be surprised if he went back there. Another that now he's in, quote, much less forgiving situation from a career perspective. Now, Fightful say that they've spoken to several top stars within WWE and a number of names in creative, and to be clear, thus far, nobody has been told anything on the talent or creative end about Punk coming back to WWE. When Fightful asked about the teases that have picked up steam on social media, and it must be said this report came out prior to SmackDown last night, the claim adamantly that those were not meant to tease a CM Punk return, though it's not impossible they could be played off in the future to generate buzz. However, as I mentioned, this report came out to last night's SmackDown, where certainly there was a big tease that several people said was way too heavy-handed to not be about CM Punk. In the day since the publication, of course, that's harder to believe. Fightful spoke to various people in the know regarding future plans, and almost nobody has been clued in on a potential Punk return. One source in creative has said there are enough CM Punk promos and interviews that anything could be stretched into a CM Punk reference. Sources that are close with Punk have been open about his interest in returning to WWE, with one outright saying that if there was WWE interest, he would go back to the company. There was also a source that said that they believed that it was actively being worked on. There is a very big elephant in the room, however, in that both Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns have verbalized in the past that they aren't fond of CM Punk. Most people on both sides believe there would need to be fences mended there in order to make a successful run happen. One WWE source was steadfast in their belief that when Punk appeared at Raw backstage earlier this year in Chicago, he was looking to get his job back. Based on how that experience went, they aren't of the belief it's in the cards. Others that Fightful spoke to thought him appearing there was more to create allies, as there had already been some bumps in the road towards his eventual AEW return. Another big discussion about Punk, of course, has been his age and the workload. Punk took great pride in being at work every week within AEW, and his salary was above what a lot of stars high up on the WWE card are making to work full-time as well. WWE sources that Fightful spoke to felt like Punk's leverage isn't what it was 4 months, 14 months, or 3 years ago, and as a result, that could play a big factor in negotiations regarding schedule and pay if indeed he does come back to WWE. Now, in case you wondered about other options outside of WWE, it seems like the Impact locker room would be in favor of him appearing there, as he made a good impression visiting backstage several months ago. That's highly unlikely, but it's still an option. Fightful do say they reached out to CM Punk and they didn't hear back. But nobody in WWE has been told that a return is happening, and most talent are opposed to it, according to Sean Ross Sapp. However, they don't feel it's an impossibility, and both those close to Punk and WWE believe Punk would do it, but there are fences to mend, i.e. there is work to be done if indeed this deal was to come together. Now, this happened prior to SmackDown last night, and several people are saying, well, definitely it feels like it's up in the air, it's possible, but there's work to be done to make this happen to facilitate it. And obviously, there was the reference by Michael Cole on Raw on Monday that led to some people speculating he was doing an indirect reference to CM Punk, which was denied in this report by Fightful. However, when you watched SmackDown last night, there was a very clear and direct CM Punk reference. Now, in referencing the upcoming Fastlane 2023 match between Shinsuke Nakamura and Seth Rollins, Corey Graves took care to say the following very specific line. He said, quote, "The greatest trick the devil ever played was making the world forget that he existed." Now, Graves was specifically referring to the possibility of Damian Priest cashing in the Money in the Bank on either Nakamura or Rollins. Of course, what we don't know for sure at this point is whether the line came from WWE management or if Graves just decided he wanted to say it. With the quote not only reminiscent of CM Punk from an infamous Ring of Honor promo, it also calls back to his recent feud in AEW with MGF. As I mentioned recently on Twitter, fan theories have floated about the notion that specific moments from Raw had been clues towards the return of CM Punk. The first of those was a couple of weeks ago, as Seth Rollins referred to himself as the best in the world, one of Punk's signature catchphrases, even though it's obviously something that many top wrestlers say. Then a week later, this past Monday, there was an in-ring interview with Rollins with one line, again, that sparked a comparison. Michael Cole, who was in the ring with Rollins for the segment, said, quote, "How about manipulator, puppeteer at times, but it seems like this time around you're actually the puppet." Now, some of the verbiage in that line was said in a famous promo from CM Punk back in his Ring of Honor days, during which Punk said, quote, "This is my stage, this is my theater, you are my puppets, and I pull those marionette strings and I use your emotions and I toy with them because honestly, I get off on it." Now, as I mentioned, Fightful Select, in their report, they were told adamantly that those social media theories attributing the recent WWE dialogue to clues of an impending Punk return were not meant to be specific Punk teases, but despite all of that, the phrase used last night felt very, very specific, and it wouldn't be the first time that WWE has used these kind of teases to build up to a big return. They did the same with Cody Rhodes heading into WrestleMania 38 in 2022, talking about dreams being turned into nightmares, etc., and roads leading to WrestleMania. So what are your thoughts on the latest developments when it comes to CM Punk? Do you think Punk's going to return? Do you think these fences can be mended? And what are your thoughts when it came to the line last night used by Corey Graves on SmackDown? Is that the biggest indication yet that the former AEW and WWE champion is set to return to the company? Let me know your thoughts about that in the comment section below. Now, The Undertaker has all but been confirmed for NXT on Tuesday. WWE has teased that The Undertaker may be making a surprise appearance on this week's October 10 episode of NXT. After rumors had already begun to circulate that The Undertaker was set to be at the Performance Center this coming Tuesday, now a tease directly from WWE that he may very well be making an appearance. Airing an advert for this week's upcoming episode of NXT on October 10, there was a signature sound to close the clip. The signature gong that signifies The Undertaker can be heard at the end of the clip, advertising the already star-studded show. With a WrestleMania 39 weekend rematch between Carmelo Hayes with John Cena in his corner and Bron Breakker with Paul Heyman in his corner, there are other big appearances as well. Roxanne Perez is set for a match against Asuka, and the Brawling Brutes, Butch and Rich Holland, issue their own challenge for the night as well. Teaming with a big strong boy Tyler Bate, they challenge Gallus to a Pub Rules Anything Goes 6-man tag team match. Also billed to make an appearance and a big announcement is the American Nightmare Cody Rhodes. Notably, of course, this episode of NXT will be airing head-to-head against AEW Dynamite, which is airing in a unique Tuesday time slot, reuniting and reigniting the Wednesday Night Wars on Tuesday nights for 1 week only. What are your thoughts on the Dead Man appearing this week as well? Now let's move on to next week's episode of SmackDown as well, because it's the season premiere next week, and the next appearance of Roman Reigns has been announced for an upcoming episode of SmackDown, and it's been revealed for the season premiere. On last night's episode of SmackDown, WWE announced that Roman Reigns would be returning on the Friday the 13th episode of the show. Reigns continues his record-breaking championship reign, last night touted as having been champion for 1,135 days. Also announced to be appearing on next week's show, Triple H will appear on screen, and the return of Pretty Deadly as Elton Prince finishes his miraculous recovery to return to in-ring competition as he teams with Kit Wilson to take on the Brawling Brutes. Furthermore, next week's show has been dubbed the season premiere of the show, coming off the heels of today's WWE Premium Live event, WWE Fastlane. Set to culminate at Fastlane, a recent feud between WWE legend John Cena and the Bloodline being potentially resolved as Cena teams with another fan favorite. Cena will team with LA Knight at Fastlane to take on Jimmy Uso and Solo Sikoa. Now, speaking of Fastlane, looks like we could see Jade Cargill tonight at the show. A huge potential spoiler has emerged for this evening. PW Insider had recently reported that Jade Cargill was scheduled to be at Fastlane on October 7 and the episodes of Raw and SmackDown that follow next week. Well, in an update, PW Insider is now reporting that Cargill has already been spotted in Indianapolis, the host of Fastlane. There's no word on whether Cargill will be on the show or not, but considering she's in town, it's almost certain she'll be at the show at the very least. If we get any more details on that, of course, we'll let you know moving forward. Now, MGF has said that he dropped the ball this week on AEW Dynamite. During the show, MGF confronted Bullet Club Gold. During his promo, he got the live crowd to mock the Guns and Juice Robinson with dueling chants. The segment has divided fans, with some enjoying it and others criticizing this new comedic side of MGF's character. MGF has now taken to Twitter to respond to a tweet criticizing this moment. Admitting that he dropped the ball, he replied, quote, "I could sit here and tell you I've consistently been the biggest ratings draw in my company for some time. I can say I've also been universally praised, but the fact is I dropped the ball this week. There's a lot of eyes on me. I can't afford to do that. Look forward to picking up the ball back up on Wednesday." Jay White ultimately attacked MJF and left with his AEW World Championship bout. Before the Gun Club left, MJF accepted Jay White's challenge for an AEW World Championship match at Full Gear. Of course, that's coming up in Inglewood, California on November 18. Now, the Bloodline and the Judgment Day seemingly have now joined forces. WWE's worst nightmare has finally manifested itself. They may have been run off for now by a big amount of baby faces, but that doesn't change the fact that two of the most dominant stables in recent memory are now aligned. The Bloodline and the Judgment Day formally entered into an alliance on SmackDown. The story began when the Bloodline entered their locker room following a confrontation with their Fastlane opponents, LA Knight and John Cena, only to find the Judgment Day sitting there waiting for them. The two groups were lined up to throw down, but Rhea Ripley asked her cohorts to leave the room while she talked to Paul Heyman, and Heyman ultimately did the same. Ripley initially proposed a pact between the two factions, but Heyman said he would have to get authorization for such an agreement from Roman Reigns. In response, Ripley said he didn't actually need the authorization and told Heyman to acknowledge her. Heyman, of course, did what Heyman always does. He called Roman Reigns. When the main event match between Knight and Jimmy Uso ended in a disqualification due to Solo Sikoa's interference, John Cena came out to even the odds. It was then that the Judgment Day approached ringside, where Ripley and Heyman shook hands as Heyman proclaimed the agreement was authorized. Before they could do any real damage as a unit, however, Jey Uso and Cody Rhodes hit the ring, clearing out the bad guys while the crowd roared its appreciation. It remains to be seen how this new alliance impacts the tag team matches both sides are scheduled to take place on Saturday's premium live event. Judgment Day members Finn Balor and Damian Priest are set to defend their tag team titles against Jey and Rhodes, in addition to Jimmy and Sikoa taking on Cena and Knight. What are your thoughts on that alliance between the two big factions in WWE? Danhausen is coming back to AEW television after having been out of action for 7 months. Danhausen has been announced to return soon in a vignette on last night's Rampage. Fan favorite Danhausen hasn't been seen in a match in AEW since March 2023 when he teamed with Orange Cassidy in the tag team title four-way at AEW Revolution. Danhausen later confirmed on Twitter that he had torn his pec at Revolution and would be out of action due to injury for an undetermined amount of time. On last night's episode of Rampage, in a vignette featuring the Very Nice, Very Evil star that featured the note "very soon" as well as the spoken words. So it would appear that Danhausen is going to be back on our television screens and in an AEW ring very soon as well. Finally, Jim Ross is negotiating a new AEW contract. An update has emerged on Jim Ross's AEW status, with the veteran commentator previously stating that his contract was set to expire. JR previously confirmed that his contract was set to expire at the end of September, while Ross previously noted that he had a conversation with Khan about a potential new deal. The lack of updates following this September 30 date had fueled speculation about Ross's future with the company. Per Dave Meltzer, in the latest edition of Wrestling Observer newsletter, JR and Khan have been working to negotiate a new contract. Noting that Ross's contract is either up or will be very soon, Meltzer writes, quote, "Jim Ross's current contract is either up or about to be up, and he's still working as they negotiate a new deal." So it would appear that Ross is still in talks about his AEW contract. So there you go, guys. That's the latest pro wrestling news for you. Be sure to smash the like or the like button. Be sure to subscribe, bottom right-hand corner. As always, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below, and I'll speak to you again very, very soon.
Hey guys, thank you for watching, listening, streaming, or however you come across this video today. Be sure to click on the video on the right there to watch our next video, or click the bottom there to subscribe, or the bottom right hand corner. Thank you very much, and I'll speak to you again very soon.